Daf Nun Aleph Amud Aleph will begin Daf Nun Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom at the 2 dots. The Gemara is now going to discuss the halachas as far as minhagim are concerned, the different particular halachas as far as minhagim, and how it relates to the halach that we mentioned in the Mishnah. The people of Chuzah, they had a minhag that they used to take challah from rice. The chiv of challah, to be mafish challah, that has to be given to the kohen, that has the halachas, the dinim like truma, that is from the 5 types of dogan, of grain. It's not from rice. They had a minhag that they were makmir, and they also were mafish challah from rice. Also, Rav Yosef, they said it over to in Rav Yosef, Omer lehu nech lazar ba'payim. He said he should nullify the minhag in front of them, meaning a zar, someone who is not a kain, he should eat that challah that they were mafresh in front of them. Things that are mikr din mut, but other people were noig in isur. You can't be mattered in front of them. So how could you say that a zar could eat this challah in front of them? He said that Rav Chisda said this price is talking about kusim. It's talking about kusim who were therefore at the time that in this price it's discussing the kusim had a din of yidden, but amaratz. And therefore, that's what we said, that you can't be matched in front of them. That is because they're amaratzim, and they'll confuse things. And if you matcha this, they think that this is also. If you're matcha, they'll be matcha other isurim. So that's where it said that however, if it's not talking about amaratzim, then you could. Tosfos asks the kasha, how can we say that you can be matched in front of them? We learned in the Mishnah that you're bound by the minhag of the place that you left, and the place that you're coming to. So how can we say that we can be matched and we're allowed to be matched this minhag? Tosfos answers the Ri. This is the mahalach of the Ri, and he learns this. We'll learn the sugya according to this Tosfos, according to the Ri. Other Rishonim argue the Ritva, etc. But Tosfos mahalach is as follows: what we're discussing in the Mishnah is a minhag that was made al pi Talmid Chacham, that was established by Talmid Chacham, and on that it says the pasuk al ti taish taresimech. That has a din of a minhag, that's a binding minhag, and lalach you're bound. The case that we're talking about over here, the case of the Baraisa, is talking about a minhag that was established loyal pitamid chacham. So there we say yatar shoylatim bifneihem, in front of them, because if they're ameratzim, then they'll come to confuse things. They'll confuse things, and they'll be matri surim. They'll say, well, if you're this is mutter, yisurim mutter, which is mashma that if they're not amaratzim, then you could be matter bifneim, or even if they are amaratzim, you can. It's mutter shaloi bifneim, not in front of them. That's a Tosfos shita, and so therefore he said that this is only when it said yatarasha rishoy latim bifneim. That's because soy b'amaratzim. And therefore, he said you can. It's mutter to eat the challah that was from rice. It's mutter b'fneim. Tosfos adds on another point over here. He says, but if it was a minhag, that was a toes, then even b'fneim you could be matter. So, frank the Gemara. Well, kusoi my time. You're saying yes that the Bryce is talking about kusoi, and over there you can't be matter of them. Why is that? Mishum Masach and Milsa, because they'll confuse things, and therefore they'll be makel on things which are really also. He said he tained Hanach Inshin Nami. These people of Chazoi also are amaratzim Sarach and Milsa, and they're also will confuse things. So if you allow them to eat the challah from the rice, they'll eat challah that is from doga, which is also. Elamar Ravashi. Rav Ashi says, now this is how we're magdir. This is the getter. Chazin, and we say, Ruban Iris Achle, if the majority of the people, the bread that they eat is out of rice, is rice bread, Loi Nechla Zarba Paya. A non-kohen should not eat the challah that they took from the rice. He should not eat it in front of them. Dilma Mishtacha Teres Challah Minayu, because they might forget the halachas of challah. They think this is really challah. And if someone is going to eat it, a non-kohen is going to eat it, they'll think that it's mutter for a zar to eat challah. So that's if roiv of the people, the bread is rice bread. But v'iruban a dog and achli, but if the majority of them may eat bread that's made from grain, meaning, and therefore there is a chiyuv to be mafresh challah, nechlen a zar ba'payim, then a zar should eat it in front of them. Why? Because they should be informed that challah from rice is not really challah, because otherwise they'll think that it is challah, and they'll be mafresh from dough made out of rice. They'll be mafresh challah to pater the dough made out of grain where there's a chiyuv, and it doesn't pater. It's min aptur al chiyuv, because there's no chiyuv of challah from rice. And conversely, if they're mafresh the challah from the grain, from the dough that's made out of the grains, to pater the rice, now there is no chiyuv of challah on rice. So if they do that, they'll cause the kohanim to eat tevel, because they're being mafresh challah from the grain for something where there's no chiyuv of challah, and therefore it doesn't have a din of challah on it. And therefore, it's really tevel to cause the kohanim to eat tevel. So therefore, the zar should eat it in front of them. The Achreim asks the kasha, why do we need the second teretz? Meaning, why don't we say simply that if most people eat rice bread, then a zar should not eat in front of them, because it'll cause them to forget the halachas of challah. And then that's it. We don't need another reason. Now, most of them eat the bread that's made out of grains, then you don't have this problem, and you can eat it in front of them. Why do we need another reason? It should be sufficient just to say simply that if most people eat rice bread, you have a problem. They'll forget the Torah's challah. If they don't eat rice bread, most people don't eat rice bread, then it's mutter. Why do we need the second reason? Ein Slachu gives an interesting teretz, but perhaps we can say on a pashut level that without the second reason, you'd say that, well, if Ruben is achli, then you can't eat in front of them. If most of the people have bread made out of grain, you could eat in front of them. But this second reason that Rav Ashi is giving is a reason to say that davka iruban dogan achli, then nechle zarba paya. Not that you could, you should. Without this reason, you say simply that you're allowed to eat it. There's no problem in eating it, because we're not afraid that they'll forget about the laws of challah. But this is a reason to say why davka Ruben Dagan Achle nechle zarba pai. He should eat in front of them, because he should show that this is not, that there's no chiyuv challah on the rice. The Brisa says that things that are mut, they're but other people are not getting isur. You're not allowed to be mounted in front of them. Said we're talking about kusoi, we're talking about amaratzim. It's only amaratzim or kusoi, not other people. Tanya, we learned in another brisa, two brothers are allowed to bathe together. We're not afraid of hirhure ver. But in Kovel, they had a minhag that they didn't. They answered it. So in Kovel, you're not allowed to. Umaysa Hill, Bonam Shlarabin Gamliel, Rogel's two sons, Sharach Sushneim, Ke'echa Bekovel, two brothers, and make your din its mutter. So they were in the bathhouse together in the city of Kabul. Velazlam Kol Medina, and the entire city was criticizing them, was had tainas on them. They said, Omro me ameno lo yarinu kach. We never saw such a thing. The two brothers should bathe together. So what did they do? Now they didn't tell them that no, it's mutter. V'nishmat hil v'yotzel b'ayis achitzon. So Hill slipped away. He went to the outside bathhouse. He didn't want to, so he stopped. They stopped bathing together. And they didn't say that it's mutter. So you see that even though it's not kusoi, that you're not mater b'fneim. You don't say that it's mutter. And another mice is the halach is yoytzim b'kudah kisoin b'Shabbos. And Shabbos it's mutter to go out wearing shoes that are loose, they're not tightly fitted, to wear these types of shoes. But ve'ein yoytzim b'kudah skam b'Shabbos b'biri. But in the city of Biri, they had a minhag not to wear these shoes on Shabbos, as we'll see later in the Gemara, because it might fall and people might come to carry on Shabbos. There are mice that they did go out with those types of shoes in the city of Biri, and the city criticized them. We never saw such behavior, going out with these shoes on Shabbos. And what did they do? They didn't tell them that it's mutter. They took off the shoes and gave them to their servants. So therefore, they didn't want to say that it's mutter. Another mice, v'yoyishim al safsalei nachrim b'Shabbos, you're allowed to sit on the chairs of Nachrim and Shabbos. We'll see in the Gemara shortly that these were the chairs that they sat on when they used to sell things. So they used to sell their merchandise in the market. So you might think that it has the appearance of doing business on Masa Mountain and Shabbos. But nevertheless, the halach is v'yoshem al safsalei nachrim b'Shabbos, it's mutter, but ve'enan yoshem al safsalei nachrim b'Shabbos b'Akko, but not in the city of Akko. In the city of Akko, they had a minhag to aser. Where he did sit on it, the laws of Kol Medina, and they criticized. We never saw such behavior. What did he do? Nishman al gabe karka. He went off the chair and he sat on the ground. And he didn't want to tell them it's mutter. So you see that even not kusoi, it's still also lahater b'fneihem. The Gemara says b'nei Medina siyam nami came to leishchicha rabbanu gavaya kekusum dami. Over there also, since there's not talmidei chachamim who are commonly there, it's like the case of kusoim. So it says bishlom asaf salin nochrin. Bishlom, we say the case of the stools of the nochrim mishum demechzik and because that's what they use when they sell in the market. It looks like he's selling things, he's using it for business. So we understand the source of the Isser. Because it's kids and Nami and the shoes also, they're loosely fitted, they might slip off, and he might come to carry. Therefore, we understand the source of the minhag. My time alloy, but what's the source of the minhag not to bathe? Like we learned in the Braysim, called Adam Reichel, a person can bathe with anybody, except his father, his father-in-law, his stepfather, and his brother-in-law. In the Baal HaChaisa. But Rabbi Yehuda was mat in case of the father, because of the covetous father, mean to assist, to be mishamish his father, so he was mat. Within the Baal Imai, and also for his stepfather. But also Inhu, and in the city of Kabul, they were geyser on account two brothers, because they might be confused with the case of his brother-in-law. Tana Talmud lo yerchatzim rabbi. A Talmud should not bathe with his rabbi, but v'im rabbi tzorach lo muter. But if he needed to assist his rabbi, then it's muter. But otherwise, he shouldn't. In all these cases, it's because he might come liday here or avera. He also Rabbi Bar Chana achol adaisira. So another case of a minhag, over there, when he also Rabbi Bar Chana, he came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. So he ate daisir. They ate that part of the chelav, the fat. That the fat is chelav is also menat Torah. The chelav that's also menat Torah is in the stomach. It's in the bowed section of the stomach, but where it now extends up further out, and a straight line, there that chaylev is mutter, and so he ate it. And when he came to Bovel, Ola Gabay Rabba Vyasav Rabba Breder Afuna, and Kevin the Chazina Kasiminayim. When he saw them, he covered them, because over there, that the minhag that they had was not to eat that chaylev. So he didn't want to eat it in front of them, and therefore he covered it. Also, they said over to Abaya, they said, what happened over here? He said, you equated us with kusoin, meaning it's really maker than it's mutter. Therefore, you didn't have to tell us, you didn't have to hide it from us, rather, you could have told us that it's mutter. So you made it, you treated us like kusoin. Break the Gemara of Rabba Bar Chana, Leslie Hadasnan. Doesn't he hold that what we learned in the Mishnah? Doesn't he hold what we learned in the Mishnah that you have to, you're bound by the local minhagim, by the local customs? So doesn't he hold the now? If he Taisus, the way we're the Shitas of Taisus, we have to say over here that this minhag was established by Chachamim, by Talmidei Chachamim. Similar to the case of the Mishnah by Erev Pesach, Kainu Chatzos, because the way Taisus is learning is that where do we say he's bound by it and he can't be mater in front of Talmidei Chachamim, or privately? That's only in a case where it's a minhag that was established by Talmidei Chachamim, not where a minhag was established on its own. So we have to say that according to Taisus, the kasha is that over here, this minhag was established by Talmidei Chachamim. How can he be matered even in private? How can he eat it even in private? Omra Abaya says, Hani mil bebavel abava. He said that's if from one place in Bovel to another place in Bovel. Eretz Yisrael, or from one place in Eretz Yisrael to another place in Eretz Yisrael. Inami Bovel Eretz Yisrael, or from Bovel to Eretz Yisrael, from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel loy. But if you're coming from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, like he was, like Rabbi Bar Chana came from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, he is not bound by the custom, by the minhag. He's not bound by the minhag in Bovel, even if it was established by Talmidei Chachamim. Why is that? Because in Bovel we're subservient, we're subordinate to Eretz Yisrael. Avdina Kavasayu. We allow him to go to be noyeg like Eretz Yisrael. He's from Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is superior to Bovel. They, as Rashi and Taisus explain, that they had smicha in Eretz Yisrael, they didn't have in Bovel, and Taisus explains further that they were bigger Talmidei Chachamim in Eretz Yisrael. Now, even though in Bovel we see that they had a koyach to be Maitzi Momen, that they had that type of a koyach, which was Al Pi Reish Galusa, but they were bigger Talmidei Chachamim in Eretz Yisrael. He says either because they were Marbet Tzayir Berabim, or Avira Eretz Yisrael Machkim. So therefore, coming from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, they are not bound by the minhagim of Bovel, even if they were established by Talmidei Chachamim. Ravashi Amar Afilatim Eretz Yisrael to Bovel. You could say even in Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, also you must follow the local custom. But Hani Milech de Ein Dai Talachs. But where do we say that? It's when he's not going back to Eretz Yisrael. He doesn't have das to return to Eretz Yisrael. But if his intention is to go back, then he's not bound. Now his intention was to go back. So therefore he's not bound. But if a person his das is to remain here, then he's bound by the local custom, he's bound by the local minhag, even if it's from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel. And certainly from Bovel to Bovel, in any event, he's bound by the minhag.